We are not your grandmothers and grandfathers in NAACP. And I know some chapters that's what I think of. We wanted to make this organization that already existed, that had a name, to see if we could make it work more effectively for justice in our community.
So first of all, people who make those kind of comments are foolish. They're just straight up foolish. They don't know enough about either man to make an intelligent, have an intelligent opinion. I find that most people, when I ask them, did you read their work? Have you gone out and taken the time to, as a matter of fact, just this past Saturday night, in 1967, I saw him do a very eloquent speech where he cites the statistics. He takes the United States to task for its problem of what to do with the black people that it brought here to be slaves to use and exploit for their natural resources. And so the first thing is I see extreme commitment. You know, we hear a lot of people love to talk about they love the Lord, which oftentimes is funny because it's just something that people say. But the commitment, the spiritual commitment, and then you're talking about a man with a superior intellect. And I just mentioned he wrote 4 books. How did he find time to write 4 books in those 13 years that he was directly engaged in that movement? Most of us never take the time to look at his family background, his educational background, and the other things that motivated him. And the thing that I think that incenses me the most, that I find that all activists or liberators, they make sacrifice. They put their lives on the line, their careers on the line, material wealth on the line. Oftentimes they put the lives of their families on the line. You know, Dr. King had 4 children and a wife. Who took care of them while he was out doing what he was doing? Who paid for his house? Who paid for his car? You know, how was he able to center himself when every day you're trying to raise money, every day your life is being threatened, every day you're dealing with traitors in your own group. And Malcolm, and everybody that you know that was an activist had traitors in their group. If you read about Garvey, many traitors in his group. Malcolm, many traitors in his group. Hugh P. Newton, Bobby Seale, many traitors inside the Black Panthers. And even today, as we do the small things that we do, that are in no way comparable to what these men have done, we have traitors, high and low. So his commitment, organizational skills, the way that he and those other young men, these are young men who saw their ministry as an advocacy for justice. So I have the most high regard. If you ask me about Malcolm or Hugh P. Newton, I would, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, of course, I can tell you things that perhaps would have been better. But at the end of the day, these people, most of the people that I mentioned were killed. If you notice that one thing about they all have Malcolm, Martin, people argue about Malcolm and Martin, both were killed. Both had families. Malcolm's had 4 children and 2 children that were born after he died. They still have to buy groceries for their families. They still have to put gas in their cars. They still have to pay the insurance. And most of our people, we never think about them. It's kind of like the way we regard the Jesus, the Christ of Scripture, or Yeshua, the Christ of Scripture. We worship the name, but never even given thought to actually embracing that lifestyle, because it's hard. Most of us can't do that. Life being threatened every day. Most of these men that you look back on, they suffer from manic depression because they're dealing with a plethora of problems, and they're dealing with black folk who even today are in a sort of our development as a political our political thought is arrested. Well, our religious theologies, our intellectual ideas are usually not in line with our power needs. And so I don't like for people to attack these folks. Now, we all have a responsibility and a right and a responsibility to critique those of the past. We want to find what they did that we think is great, and we want to find those things that we think perhaps we need some adjustment, but we honor these people through our continued work.
We are not your grandmothers and grandfathers in NAACP, and I know some chapters that's what I think of. We wanted to make this organization that already existed, that had a name, to see if we could make it work more effectively for justice in our community.